G'day humans, Chris Stead from Fine here talking NFT games. We've got a big one for you today, Thetan Arena. Now this thing is absolutely going off. It just broke a record for having 6 million concurrent users, which is a record for any sort of blockchain game. And it's jumped to 12 million users in about a month. So it's a big deal. So why are people digging this game? What's so good about it? Let's jump in, find out. First, let's take a look at the developer, because as soon as I see a name next to a developer in the blockchain gaming scene, I'm happy. That means something. And on top of that, they've actually had success deploying games in the past. So the studio we're talking about here is Wolffun Games. Now they've been around since about 2014. They've got a headquarters in Singapore. Now they first found some success with Tank Raid Online, which they released in 2017. And then in 2020, they released a game called Hero Strike, which is a 4v4 MOBA. So these games are actually relatively successful. They've released some other games too, but those are the two main ones that they've previously released. Now, Thetan Arena is effectively a blockchain game version of Hero Strike. If you look at the two games, there's a lot of similarities between them. So they've actually kind of taken that successful format and template, and they've kind of turned it into the blockchain game. They've turned it into a play-to-earn experience. So what then is Thetan Arena? Look, at its core, it's kind of a top-down brawler. It reminds me a bit of Pokemon Unite in a way, but it's a bit more retro in its style, and it's kind of got the kind of chaos going on you might have seen in like a WoW dungeon or potentially in like a bullet hell shooter. Now look, they're calling it a MOBA, but I think that's a little bit misleading. It's definitely not a MOBA in the traditional sense where you've kind of got the lanes, like League of Legends, I guess. It's not a League of Legends style game. In fact, there's about 5 or 6 modes at the time that I'm saying this, and only one of them, called Tower, is any sort of kind of MOBA-like. There's a collectible mode called Superstar where you're kind of collecting objects around the world. And then there's also 2 different Battle Royale modes, a solo and a duos, and also team deathmatch as well. So the fact that they're kind of leading with this as a MOBA, I think is more of an opportunity and a play to kind of capitalize on League of Legends success more than it is actually a reflection of the type of gameplay experience you're going to get. Interestingly, the modes rotate as well, so you can't just go in and choose any particular type of mode. They have 2 available at any one time, and they rotate over a period of, I think it's about half an hour. And so you may not be able to play the mode that you want to play when you jump in, but what this does do is just squish the player pool together. However, I wouldn't be surprised if they change that soon, since they've already leapt to 12 million players so quickly. Player pools should be the least of their problems. All right, so let's jump in and have a look at some gameplay. The action sees you jump into arena combat as this like little hero dude. You have basically 360 degrees of movement, a generic attack, and some predetermined skills on cooldown. As well as battling other team players and bots, there's environmental elements you can take down to get XP and in-game items activated on collection. Your attack power is impacted by your base stats, so these kind of grow with your overall hero's level, but also impacted by your hero's rarity. So you've got common, epic, or legendary heroes. Your hero also levels up in match over 10 beats. So you kind of start the game with a certain level, your hero's at a certain level from your previous games, but then in each game, kind of, this is a bit MOBA, like you will level up over 10 beats. And as you go, you'll unlock some of the skills you've assigned to your character for that game and improve your overall attacking power. Matches are pretty short actually, kind of tend to last 3 to 4 minutes. They've actually, as of Boxing Day or just after Boxing Day 2021, they actually reduced the game lengths, or the time lengths for some of the modes, but usually about 3 to 4 minutes. So everything is quick and sharp and gets you back into action real quickly. You select your hero from 3 classes, assassin, marksman, or tank, and assign them different skills that can be used in battle. The idea is, of course, that you play your role in the team dynamic, so you're leveraging your abilities and skills to the team's advantage. And the skills kind of come in 3 rarities. There's common, epic, and legendary, and their available pool of what you can select from rotates every week, which keeps things interesting. So you don't actually get an opportunity to just choose the type of skill that you necessarily want each time that you play. It just rotates and you select from those. So which is a really interesting mechanic actually, and it keeps you, I guess, from just sticking to one line of attack. It makes you mix things up and have to do things in different ways depending on what's available to you at the time. Look, the skills are different in their types. It can be an effect, a damage, or a support in nature. So this also adds to the team dynamic. And there's also battle bonuses that can be granted depending on the skin the hero wears. And the skin itself also comes in 3 different rarities: normal, rare, or mythical. But on top of that, there's the real-time play as well. So you're kind of moving about the level, trying to maximize your cover, delegating your focus between the foes and the pickup opportunities, and not stuffing up your overall aiming to keep the enemies in focus and in range, and aiming is actually kind of a pretty important part of the game, especially if you're playing on mobile, to try and get those shots and those skills pointing in the right direction. So that kind of keeps the action quite engrossing. As a game, it's pretty engaging. The action loops around really quickly. You're always kind of grinding and progressing. The matches don't go for too long. You're never waiting in the wings for too long to get an experience to go. So, you're right in there, you're right into each game over and over and over again. That kind of gameplay style has been proven to be quite effective for quite a long time on mobile devices in particular. Speaking of mobile, you can play it on PC, but speaking of mobile, controls are a little bit finicky. You've got your pretty standard controls, so you've got the virtual stick on one side and you've got your buttons on the other side. So just getting the aiming can just take a little bit, especially if you've got clumsy big fat thumbs like me. So that can be a little bit tight on a mobile gaming device, but really it's not too bad. In fact, the animations, the visuals, the SFX, they're all pretty good. They speak to a developer who knows what they're doing, and I did kind of appreciate the nod to the old Tekken games and Halo and the way that the voiceovers to the special effects come across. So that's kind of cool as well. Where it does kind of let itself down a little bit is with the tendency to put you with bots, because the bots are just not good, they suck. And so it's so quick to want to get you into another game that you will often be paired with a bot instead of another human. So if you've got a team of 4 that you've been playing with regularly, then that's great, you're going to kill it. But if you're just kind of coming in as a solo player, as a duo, and you get matched with other players, if they can't find the players, they'll put you with a bot, and the bots just aren't that good. So that's kind of a bit of an issue as well. And I have to mention the speed of the actual heroes. The speed at which they move is an absolute punish. They really crawl across the levels. And this probably plays into the entire way that they're trying to balance the game and keep things from getting just too chaotic. But geez, I just wish they moved a little bit faster. It's just a real bit of a punish just trying to get from A to B. But we've already seen, even a month in, some quite substantial tweaks to player stats or character stats. So that's something that they are obviously still trying to find a balance for in these early months. From a play to earn perspective, look, I really like the fact that you can jump into this game and just get playing without having to invest anything. And you can grind away in-game and earn the THC that you need to be able to actually buy into the higher levels of the game and get the actual heroes, the premium heroes, which are the NFTs that can have you some sustained value in the marketplace. Obviously you can just jump in straight away and get a premium NFT either from the marketplace, or you can buy loot boxes and try your luck and see what you can actually pull out of those. It's pretty transparent on the percentage chance that you're going to be able to get something that's really good versus something that's very ordinary, but you can go in and do that. So from a play to earn perspective, that side of things is pretty cool, because you can get in and get going pretty easily, and it's pretty straightforward on what you need to do in order to grind up and get an income out of this game. Where it becomes a bit of a frustration for me is that you have a limited number of fights per hero character, even with the premium ones. And based on the rarity, that number is significantly different. So if you go to the highest of rarities, you get about 700 plus fights. But down the common, it's like 200 and something fights. And I just don't get this. I think it's anti-gamer, I think it's anti-consumer, I think it's anti-NFT games. I don't understand why you'd put a battle cap on an NFT that you're investing in. So basically what happens is at a certain point, your character's not worth anything, effectively, because it can no longer fight and earn THC for you. So therefore, you either have to invest more money into the system to unlock it for more fights, or stake it, which is one of the things they're going to bring into the future, the ability to stake it to earn more battles for your NFT. But I just don't get it. I just don't think this is the right approach. And I'm sure it's frustrating a lot of people already. So that is kind of the big negative of the way that they've taken the play to earn thing, because not only does it affect your ability to kind of pass things on as an NFT or have some value that you can resell, but it also affects your ability to kind of be part of a guild, or to put scholars into the mix as well. So those types of things are impacted by the fact that you're buying into a limited time resource, as opposed to buying something that you can grow with as you play the game through the many years to come. It's also probably worth noticing that when I actually crunched the numbers and had a tighter look at your chances of actually coming out positive given that the number of limited fights that you have, it's marginal to say the least. You really have to fluke it with a loot box and to land something that's quality that's going to give you the fights to really kind of earn your money back. So it's definitely some balancing work they need to do there, because like I mentioned, the game itself is engaging and fun, but then this aspect of it kind of nerfs it. Moving forward, the roadmap has some really interesting things that are planned through 2022. Guilds is the big one, although they're doing this really interesting thing where they're bringing the guilds in-house and you have to pay a fee to be able to be a guild in the game. So that's a bit unusual, and it does lend its thoughts to the fact that Wolffun here is just, there's a lot of things in this game which are just kind of a little bit greedy or not cool with NFT games, if you ask me. And that's one of them. So they're bringing that in, but they're going to have like special quests and a special leaderboard and wars between guilds. So the way that they maybe use these guilds to enhance the gameplay could therefore justify the fee. So I have to wait and see about that. They're going to be bringing pets in. You'll be able to, like I mentioned, be able to stake your NFT to regain some battles by the sounds of it. So that's going to be coming in. And they are pitching this as an esports MOBA game. So like I said, the MOBA sides of it is a bit loose, and so far the esports of it is a bit loose too, but they are planning on bringing tournaments and things like that into the mix as well. So have a look at the roadmap, because they definitely have some solid plans, and they've now got a really serious player base as well, so that those plans should be delivered. And I should mention as well, the Battle Royale is going to jump up to about 42 players sometime soon. I think it's about 12 at the moment. So that's obviously going to make a pretty big difference, considering that the actual arena's not massive. So I don't know if that means they're going to come with some new maps as well, and maybe some new phases and how the circle comes in, the storm. So over 12 million players in a month, and it's going up like this. Thetan Arena is really taking off, and I get it. I understand why. It's actually, you know, a really well-made game that builds on the foundations of a very successful MOBA genre. The moment-to-moment gameplay is engaging. It turns around really quite quickly what you're doing, and you know, it's fun to play. There's depth to the real-time combat here, which means that you're rewarded for actually being skillful. I think it really lets itself down with the way that it has the limited time use of the NFTs and the amount of fights that they can do. I think that's something they need to look at. And I think that just makes it basically a game about chance on the loot box from an NFT perspective, at least in terms of whether or not you're actually going to, you know, come out of this ahead for the time and investment you put into the game. Anyway, that's what I think of Thetan Arena. I'm Chris Stead from Finder. Head over to the finder.com.au website. You can read my full article on this game and many others in the NFT game space. Meanwhile, subscribe, like, do all that stuff for me, because I really want to make more of these videos for you. Happy gaming, no worries.